Hey guys, it's Golden Plus back to add on more to your day, and this time I actually implement a schedule so you don't make 3 videos in a row and then just take a 5-day break. Today's video will be a mock draft since the NFL season just ended. One of the most popular things now is thinking about how those teams missed the playoffs and what they will do in the draft. Of course, for a few days I'm going to be making videos in a row since there's a lot to do after the NFL season ended. But I have a lot of videos planned. I hope you guys enjoy this one specifically because I already planned this out. I already know where it's going to go. And just, I don't really have, extensive research on these players. I just have kind of the eye test from their college football games. What other, the people on ESPN say. And some people who do their own mock drafts. I have all of that to sample in on my own opinion. Now, you can see it's very opinion-based because, well, you can't really guarantee a mock draft and what's going to happen. I bet you there's not even a mock draft where 20 of the 32 picks were correct. Maybe not even half of the picks were correct. But, yeah, we're just going to be trying to emulate what I think teams would do at this point of the not really at the season, at the end of the season. And we're going to start with the Bears. Now, people think that they might stick with Justin Fields. But in my opinion, where you have no winning records as the Bears, you're projected to be you're the ninth worst team in the league based off of draft picks. I think if you really think that Justin Fields is still the answer, then that has to be something with the coaching or something. If you think that Justin Fields is still a worthy quarterback to be your guy. And even if you do think he is worthy, it doesn't matter. I think Caleb Williams is so good, it doesn't matter how much you like Justin Fields. Unless you think he is just a top 10 QB. Which top 1 QB is Caleb Williams' ceiling. Well, I don't think Fields could ever hit that margin, which is why with the first pick, I think the Bears are going to ignore all the other people and just pick the best player in the draft, which is Caleb Williams. Well, maybe Marvin Harrison, someone else, but QB is the most important position, and Caleb Williams is probably the best player of that most important position. Now, I'm kind of confused with the Commanders. I thought maybe trade down and also maybe Marvin Harrison, but I think they should pick offensive line. Now, if you don't, that's fine, but Sam Howell was harassed and abused this season. I think there is no way that you look at Alumuyiwa Fashanu and say, we don't really need him. It's between him and Joe Alt. Fashanu has been pretty much the number 1 offensive tackle for a long time now, so I'll be very surprised if the Commanders don't pick him or another offensive tackle. I just can't see you picking another position other than offensive line here. Maybe trade down and pick offensive line. That's also a possibility. They could trade down and pick offensive line. But I think no matter what here, I think the Commanders will pick offensive line. Next, we got the Patriots. It's kind of the rumors of Bill Belichick being fired are kind of changing now since he's saying that he would be fine with stepping down and not being like the chief of whatever as long as he gets to stay with the Patriots. But even if they don't have a coaching change, I still think that there's no way the Patriots don't get rid of Mac Jones or at least bench him for Drake May, who's almost as good, maybe better, than Caleb Williams. These two QBs are both amazing, and I think almost any team without a top 15 QB should, and unless they're really young, should be looking at one of these two if they were in this position. For my example, the Bears and the Patriots both need to pick QBs in this position. Next, we got the Cardinals, and they could pick edge. I think that's definitely a possibility here. I don't think they pick QB after Drake May and Williams are gone. I don't even know if they would pick a QB with them there. So they're definitely not picking anyone else. I think the best player in the draft available right now for them, it's either Marvin Harrison or Brock Bowers. And you're not picking the best tight end over the best wide receiver. Only the Falcons would do that. So, I have the Cardinals picking the beast, Marvin Harrison. Even though people are starting to kind of lean towards other receivers as the best in the draft, I still think Marvin Harrison is a freak. And I think if you pick another one over him, you're kind of going a little bit crazy there. At least for this point, until we see the combine and such. Chargers are up next. And there's a lot of players they could pick here. I can see them picking just best player available, and that might be Brock Bowers or Malik Neighbors. I can see them picking someone like a cornerback like Kool-Aid McKinstry or Terrion Arnold. But I think they're going to pick Joe Alt here. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm still not really sure on what the Chargers would pick. Like, that's one of the more teams I'm more confused about. Like, out of the top 5, this is the team I'm most, like, I really don't really have, like, I'm not as certain as the Chargers as I am with other teams. But I still think Joe Alt here would be an amazing steal. Picking him at 5 is a really great pick. And only improving, like, they have the weapons. Chargers have the weapons. I think Brock Bowers is a possible pick there also. But, they have Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnston. And Austin Eckler out of the backfield. I think you just need to improve this offense a little bit more from what we saw this season. I can't believe they were so bad, but they need to take this opportunity. Also, I could also see a trade down with them. I could also see them trading down as well, but that's not what I'm going with here. I've had the Giants picking a receiver for a very long time. People say QB, but I have to disagree because their receiver core is just so bad. It's just a fact. Their receiver core is not what you need it to be if you want to at least make the playoffs. So, I think the best receiver available right now, without Marvin Harrison, is Malik Neighbors. And I guess you could say Roland Dunze, who's playing a national championship tonight. Keon Coleman, maybe. But there's really no better option, in my opinion, than Mr. Neighbors. Next, we've got Tennessee. And we've also got my first trade. Tennessee could have traded up for an offensive tackle. But now that the two best are off the board, I think they are going to trade out of the 7th pick. And I think they're going to do it with the Minnesota Vikings. And you all know what the Minnesota Vikings would want if they were trading up. It's a QB. Let's be honest. So I got the Vikings selecting Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner. The last season, he wasn't as great. He was still pretty good. But this year, he showed out. Maybe it's because of his amazing weapons. Maybe it's because of his really great offensive coach force-feeding the Heisman onto him. But no matter what the reason is, you can't deny the talent that we saw from Jaden Daniels. It's definitely trade-up worthy for the Vikings. And maybe they also do it to trade in front of the Falcons, who were definitely in position to pick Jaden Daniels before they traded up. And now that there is no Jaden Daniels left, I can't see the Falcons really picking one of these QBs. I can't see him reaching this hard. So I would have to look otherwise to either cornerback or edge. And while I do like the cornerback options, so many of them still available, I scroll and I see Dallas Turner. And if you know something about the Falcons, that they love drafting Alabama players. Drafted DeMarco Hellams last season. They also drafted Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I really like Dallas Turner. I think he's definitely the best edge in this class. And at 8, I think they'll be picking the number 8 on this big board. Next up, the Bears. They just picked Caleb Williams earlier. And you could be saying maybe they pick offensive line. I could see that. But this Bears defensive line needs improvement. It needs it. It is literally unspeakable how bad their edge talent is. So, obviously, after the Falcons took Dallas Turner, they have to look somewhere else. And I guess Laiatu Latu and Chop Robinson are gaining a lot of popularity. But, honestly, I still think Jared Verse is better. And I'm not 100% sure yet. I know Chop Robinson may be better. But for now, I'm going to stick to Jared Verse until a little bit more, I can get a little bit more familiar with these edge rushers. I still really like Jared Verse. I think he's coming a little bit underrated. I think he's going to the Bears at number 9. Well, no, what is that? No, thank you. Jared Verse. Next, we've got the Jets. And the Jets have 2 needs, and it's offensive tackle and receiver. I think the offensive lineman is the pick here. I mean, literally, Aaron Rodgers' first play was a sack and an injury. So, I think it was. Yeah, I watched that game. Well, I actually missed that one. I got on a little bit late. But what I'm trying to say here is that they need some protection for Aaron Rodgers and even Zach Wilson if he ends up getting the ball again somehow. But receiver is a good option as well. I think that's more of a second-round option for the Jets, though. I think they're going to pick J.C. Latham here. pretty nice for him to fall right into their hands. And maybe fell too far for the Titans. Maybe the Titans traded down a little bit too much as they lost the third best offensive tackle on the board. But I think they're pretty fine with that because the Titans have another big need. This is kind of low here. Their receiver core is not very good. It's DeAndre Hopkins and then Treylon Burks. Yeah, I think they pick Mr. Roman Dunze here. I think that's kind of not a crazy pick. But also, it's receiver offensive lineman for them just like the Jets, in my opinion. And I think that they're going to pick one of my favorite receivers in the entire draft class. Next, we got the Broncos. I think this is going to be the first corner off the board. We saw players like Christian Gonzalez fall for no reason. So I don't think that's why the cornerbacks are falling for this draft class. So right now I have them grabbing Terrion Arnold, who's had a lot of popularity recently. Next, we've got not the Packers. It's the Raiders, but I'm going to make them do a trade with the Packers. Packers have liked how the board has fallen. And they're like, all right, there has been 12 picks in this NFL draft, and there's still an amazing receiver in Keon Coleman. Now, there's been a lot of receivers drafted, but that's just how good this class is. If you think it's crazy for this many receivers to get picked, just remember Drake London, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson draft class. Yeah, there's a lot of receivers picked there as well. I don't think it's crazy to say that a lot of them get picked again, this time by the Packers. Next, we got the Saints. Maybe none of the great QBs fell this far. But I think they might pick Brock Bowers. All the greatest offensive tackles in the class are gone. I think at this point you might want to go for the best player available for the Saints. And it sucks to say, as a Falcons fan, you'd love Bowers to not go to an NFC South team. But it's kind of hard to predict where he's going to go. It's always hard to predict where tight ends are going to go. But I think Brock Bowers is a prime option for the Saints. Next, we've got the Colts. And I think this is kind of easy pick for them. They need edge. Chop Robinson's somehow still on the board. There's not much to say about that one. Seahawks need corner and guard, but the guards aren't really worth a top 20 pick at all. So we are going to go back, and we're going to grab the best cornerback on the board, which, some people say it's Cooper DeJean, but I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is still pretty good. He was really good against Georgia as well. Now the Jags are completely fine with Kool-Aid McKinstry getting drafted because they get Cooper DeJean, who is right behind him. Like, honestly, this cornerback class is amazing. The tackles, receivers, cornerbacks, and quarterbacks of this draft class are all literally amazing. But next we got the Bengals, who could also use a corner, and I think there's going to be a little bit of a run on cornerbacks here. This time it's Nate Wiggins. Now, I think there's other options for corner. There's Denzel Burke and Kalen King, but I think there's kind of a gap between Nate Wiggins and the rest. But that's just my opinion. Like, I know if there's three players in a row for a draft, one of them, there's a good chance that one of them is a little bit lower on the board than you would expect. Speaking of teams that usually pick players who aren't as high on the board, I don't know, dude. Just remember, who's that offensive tackle's name, dude? I can't remember, but he was not at all a good pick. He got traded like 1 year after, or 2 years after he was picked. I think it was 1 year after he was picked. It was just such a bad pick. But I think they're going to do slightly better in this draft class, drafting the next best QB, J.J. McCarthy. I tried to find some other option for them, maybe so a QB could fall to the Bucks, but no. You see J.J. McCarthy when you're at 19, I think it was. Yeah, you pick him. And the Raiders need QB so bad, so I think there's no way they don't pick him if J.J. McCarthy's on the board. Bucks needed a QB, but they also need offensive tackle, and I don't think you reach and pick one of the QBs here. I think you probably wait till the second round or trade up or something. I think instead you pick offensive line, which the Bucks don't have a ton of needs. I think they could use a running back, QB, maybe offensive tackle, which we just saw them pick because the tackles in this class are really good. And their defense is pretty much chock full of stars, so I think it's really just any guy on the offense who could help. Cardinals are up next. We thought they might have two of the top 3 picks, but now, thanks to the Texans kind of blowing up at the end, blowing up in a good way, Cardinals do not have as great as a pick. But I think this is still fine with them. They still get a receiver, the best receiver in the draft class, and they still get one of the best edge rushers in Laiatu Latu, their biggest need. I had him going to the Falcons pretty early last time. I didn't record this one, but I had him going to the Falcons at 15 or whatever they were at that time. I think he's still going to be in the 15 to 20 range. Slightly outside of that with the Cardinals here. Still really like him though. Now the Rams, biggest need here is offensive tackle. You could also say edge. And, they picked a few Falcons, including Matthew Stafford, and also trading for Sony Michel. So I don't think it's that crazy. Oh, and Todd Gurley, of course. I don't think it's that crazy to say that they go out and draft another one. This time at the tackle position, maybe reaching a bit as he's only 26 on this board. But when it's a position you need, don't be very surprised if they just pick him anyway. Because, of course, every team's big board is different. Chiefs, no, I keep saying the team that's going to be traded. That's going to trade up. Steelers, I think they're going to trade their pick here. Nobody really saw them just going to immediately pick. It's only a small trade up, only 3 picks. But I think it's worth it for both teams. The Steelers get to weigh their options, get probably a few extra picks from the Chiefs. And the Chiefs get to draft a receiver who they're probably surprised has fallen this far, but it's an amazing receiver class. The Chiefs need wide receiver. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade up even farther just to get a receiver if they wanted somebody like Keon Coleman. But I'm having them be a little bit conservative here. Only trade up a few spots to pick Brian Thomas, who could have very well been drafted to somebody like the Steelers, Dolphins, because they can never have enough speed on their team, and maybe not Eagles, but people say they need one, but I don't know. But yeah, Chiefs is going to take advantage there and grab one of the best receivers in this draft, which I say for every receiver, but they're all so good, so can you really blame me? Next up, we've got the Miami Dolphins. This is the pick I struggled the most with. I didn't really know what they were going to do. But I decided, you know what, Jazon Newton is a great defensive tackle out of Illinois. And Dolphins really need defense. Their offense is great, their defense not so much. Their secondary is fine, at least in the cornerback position. They have Xavier Howard there. And then linebacker's pretty good. Well, they could have used a corner, but also the best corners in this draft have been drafted, while the best player available currently is Jazon Newton, and he is still on the board. I think Christian Wilkins is there, but not even 3 defensive linemen is really enough to complete a team. You need at least 5, so you can rotate them in and out. And I think this is going to be a great addition beside Christian Wilkins. Next, we've got the Eagles, and I think they pick corner here. I know receiver is still kind of popular for them to pick in these, but I'm not sold just yet. I think defensive back is something they would want to go to, especially after James Bradbury not having a great season. Denzel Burke is the next guy out of Ohio State. I think they could also pick Cameron Kinchins, but I think corner's the more valuable position. Up next are the Steelers after trading down, and they're still pretty happy with this, because where's the guy that I'm looking for? They still get to pick offensive lineman. This time it's interior instead of exterior when they picked Broderick Jones last season. I think they picked Troy Fautanu, the new current national champion. I'm telling you right now, Washington's going to win. Steelers still have a need for offensive line and corner, even though they keep drafting those positions. I feel like it's always an open spot. I think Fautanu is the best option for them here. But don't be surprised if they pick Donovan Jackson instead. Next, the Texans. In almost every single matchup I have them reaching a little bit for... No, I don't want to search. I just want to click this. For Emeka Egbuka. I think it's Emeka Egbuka. I just think he's a perfect fit for their team. I think someone like him could be absolutely dangerous paired with C.J. Stroud. I think McConkey's all right. I don't think he's really proved himself to be a first-round receiver. And we know Mitchell's great, but I'm going to side towards Egbuka right here on the amazing Ohio State offense. Well, at least last season. They weren't so great this year. Next, we got the Lions, and if they didn't pick corner or receiver here, I'd be very surprised. I've been picking cornerback, and his name is Kalen King. Now, a lot of receivers and cornerbacks have been picked so far. I mean, it's just really strong parts of this draft class. I think the Bills will select linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Matt Milano's getting worse, and Tremaine Edmonds, I think they traded him because he kind of fell off like Shaquille Leonard did. So, well, Leonard's still all right. Oh, didn't he change his name to Darius? I don't know what's up with the movement of a bunch of NFL players changing their names, but whatever. Cowboys, I think they could very well pick receiver, but CeeDee Lamb has been single-handedly carrying them. I think their defense could use some work, and I think Cameron Kinchins would be a perfect player to help that secondary along with Diggs and Bland. Maybe grab a couple picks of his own. Next, we got the 49ers, and I think this will be the 4th trade of the draft. I think they're going to trade out of the first round. Not many picks, though. They will still be picking in a couple selections. I think the Panthers trade into the first round. I think they need to prioritize getting some help for Bryce Young, whether it's on the offensive line or out wide. And I think in this example, it's going to be out wide. I think the Panthers are going to select Adonai Mitchell after they trade up. They love that the Texans passed on him, and they think, all right, Ravens might pick him if the 49ers don't. So we need to get up in here. And you see the Ravens have a need for receiver. But the last draft pick of this mock draft will be Kingsley Suamataia out of BYU. Now, I could see them picking corner, but a ton of them are off the board. The next one's pretty far down. I think offensive tackle, especially after losing Orlando Brown, is a great option for the Ravens. Getting even more protection for Lamar Jackson is really the best you could do here at number 32. That is my mock draft. Tell me if you guys enjoyed. I'll be doing them probably one at... Dude, really? Okay, it's gone. I'll be doing one after the Super Bowl, most likely. And then after Combine. I'll be doing a lot of mock drafts now that the season's over. I like doing them that we know, like we guarantee the placements of these teams. I like that the most. Send me your own mock drafts anywhere pretty much on social media. Instagram's Goldie Jr., Twitter's Goldie Jr., so there's not really much to miss. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and my other one. Tomorrow, I think you really like the video that I'm planning. So, see you guys later. Adios.